Right, we are back for another week, another
Here we are.
glorious, glorious week. I hope everyone in chat is loving their lives. How are you doing this week, Carlo?
We've been allowed outside. I mean, like, I don't know about the rest of the world, but I saw a person, multiple people outdoors this week. So absolutely mental times. What a week it was. So, oddly enough, it started to feel a little bit like life was normal. So we'll see what happens. But a good week for me. Crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. I've heard you've been going outside and doing exercise as well again, right?
Yeah,
With
multiple
people.
times in a week.
Crazy,
Hurt my
absolutely
back
crazy.
actually, but that's just life.
It's just life.
That's getting old.
So, we'll start as we do all episodes ever. We will of course start with the visions in the flames.
Oh.
That was a short segment. There has not
Yeah, no
been
visions.
a
No
single.
visions this week. No visions last week.
Yeah.
The week before the vision was, oh, we just put Greyjoys onto War Council, right?
Yeah.
Which at the time felt like a vision, but now you look back at it, it didn't really feel like a vision.
Not really.
So there hasn't really been a real vision for
2 weeks.
3.5 weeks now.
Yeah,
right?
2 weeks. If you assume the way I like to think about it is when we look at the release of stuff on the Asmodee website, that was a inverted commas vision that they didn't announce. I'd like to think
Was
that
it?
that's well no so going back to what we talked about last week, I'd like to think that was just bad marketing on Simon's part and Asmodee having bad communication rather than it not being a vision. That they kind of went, oh, put these up, and then they forgot to write an article saying these things are up, go look at them.
That makes sense. Except that you'd think they wouldn't hold themselves to that Thursday day and they'd be like, uh-oh, we never did write that article. Best throw an article up
Exactly.
quick fire because everybody's having a bit of a meltdown over it.
So, yeah, I agree. No visions for what is now 2.5 weeks. We'll see on Thursday whether that's going to be continuing. It has been the Easter. I know in the UK, the last 2 weeks have been the Easter holidays for schools. So I'm not going to say that they are like that's a thing, but maybe there is a Easter break that Simon are having within their team, or people are having
School's
more
out.
holidays. Yeah, exactly. Schools are out, so perhaps there is.
Maybe someone's on holiday.
Yeah, maybe someone's on holiday.
Maybe someone's taking their kids away.
Encouraging
it's a one-man team, don't you know? It's a one-man show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to defend them at this point. I'm just suggesting reasons why it might not have happened. I guess this Thursday is the ultimate test when there is no good reasons to why they shouldn't release something. Which brings us on to, I guess, the news, right? Because the visions there isn't visions. And so we'll go on to the news. And I'll be honest with you. I can only be honest with people here. I didn't know what to say today about the news because the news is difficult, basically. Contentious, yeah. And
me and Mickey were talking 5 minutes ago at 1 minute to 7 as to whether or not we were going to talk about this or not.
Yeah. And we are. We're going to talk about it, and we're gonna talk about a lot of it. We're going to talk a hell of a lot about what it means and where this is going. All right. So be in. I think the terminology is clench your buttocks and be in for a strong one. So the news, if you will, last Thursday on Visions Night at about 10 to 5 Eastern. I think it was 10 to 11 in the UK, which, hey, fits in with Eastern, clocking out at the end of the day. So it could have been official, but we're 100% sure it's not. There was a leak. Every one of the channels in the main Discord was posted with a download link. There's a couple of guys who frequent here. I know Bruce, who's watching live tonight. He was there. I was there myself, scanning the pages. And basically people thought
I was downstairs watching a MCU MCU film. So I completely went straight over my head. Do you know what I mean? I was sat there in a 3-hour film.
Yep.
Came back, Discord blowing up. Don't know what the hell's going on.
So to put it bluntly, in short, it was something that was posted in everything. And of course, you immediately see something like that that's spammed literally in every channel he could get access to from an account that was added like 10 minutes beforehand to the Discord site. You look at it and go, yeah, this is probably some kind of like phishing attempt, or it's a virus or something like that. It's just a person who's got onto the site and is trying to take everything down, and they're calling it, Visions 2021. The full information's out. So, as you do, as being one of the people there, I think Bruce tried it as well. We downloaded it, and we downloaded whatever was there, and then of course, you feel safe doing it. You've got ways of managing it at our end, so it's not going to infect this, that, and the other if it is a virus.
Mickey's got no money, so there's nothing for him to have stolen. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like,
calm down.
Nobody wants Mickey's details. Nobody. He's got no money on his credit card. He's got no bank account. Like, what's he got to lose?
There are just ways, as probably half the people here know, there are ways you can navigate around those things, so that you don't have to worry about downloading anything sketchy. And it's a zip file, as you were about to see, with everything in it that you might need to, essentially see all of the factions. It is literally every faction that we know about. It is Barrett, it is Free Folk, Lannister Neutral, Night's Watch, Stark, and Targ. It is all of the cards. Now you'll notice the date modified section here. I'll point you to this section here on the far left of your screens as you're looking at above my head. Is the last date that these PDFs were modified, and that is October. Yeah, for most cases 27th. For some reason, randomly neutrals is the 26th. I'm guessing they had that done late, but you can see the time codes there. It was probably done the earliest of all of them. So these cards are not current, right? They have been, people have gone through them, people who've got the files have checked them, and they've tested them up against the Visions and the Flame stuff. They are not the same cards. They are not what the 2021 balance is going to look like. So first of all, Carlo, where do you stand on all this? What on earth? How do you stand on that?
It's weird. What I think is weirdest about the leaks is we've seen stuff today. We've seen somebody put them up again on Discord. Somebody put them on Facebook. They're out there. There was a flurry of people talking about it in terms of whether or not it was a virus, whether or not it was a leak. The speed at which it was shut down and shut up was I found incredibly surprising. And the fact that it's taken the whole half a week before anybody's started to post them again, and the speed at which they're being taken down, I was actually really surprised at. I think it's very telling of how closely how small the community is. If somebody is that there's enough people who are scared about posting things that they're gonna lose their position in the community or something like that. If there were just more active people in the community, somebody would do something and post them and talk about them. So I actually found it really odd how quickly it was hushed up. Not in terms of some kind of conspiracy theory, in terms of the fact that if this was a big game, if this was an active community, if this was Warhammer 40,000, these things would be Googleable within 10 minutes. And so I was actually, it was almost telling of how small and close knit the community is, that it stayed so quiet, and that just a certain amount of people said, no, don't talk about this, and just everybody shut up. And I found it really weird and eerie that nobody was even crazy, not even on the main Discord where it was initially leaked. There are tons of other more private places that these things are discussed, be it breakout smaller discords of smaller communities through to private chats that I know like tons of people are involved in, like, you know, tons of people are involved in group discussions that aren't even a Discord channel. And I think that it showed that even in these Discords, nobody was talking about it. Everybody was very scared of the ramifications of what would happen if it was talked about in these places. And I think that kind of is a real telling sign of the fact that tons of people are just like talking about these things in private. I think that's my opinion of it. My opinion of it is that people talk about it privately, and that it's like the worst kept secret that these things exist and that they're known about, because they're just being widely shared through private personal contacts as opposed to in public forums. And that's that, you know, not to go into like whole, you know what I mean, like some massive rant about like information sharing or anything, but like I think that's very reminiscent of the fact that Simon aren't open and forthcoming with information. And so people don't put it in public forums. They share it discreetly amongst individuals.
Yes.
Whatever it is, whether they're allowed to see it or not, they're not in public places. People are discussing the game in very private, small chats. You know, I speak from personal experience being in a number of these different chats with a number of different people.
Yeah.
You sort of never know what somebody else knows, but lots of people know lots of things. You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of, I'm going to refer to it as a black market, actually. I think there is a black market of information for A Song of Ice and Fire running. Now, obviously, you're not paying for that information, but it is...
Mickey's the main... Mickey's like a smuggler of... Mickey's my black market dealer.
I can be, yeah. Well, just like you, Carlo, I talk to a lot of people.
I'm just the smack. I'm just the smack junkie at the end of it, asking Mickey to go and find me something. But
I spend a lot of time poring over, and it's not just the main Discord, right?
Yeah.
I am part of French Discord, German Discords, Polish Discord for this kind of stuff. So you find out all these little bits and bobs here and there, and you saw a leak there, a leak here, and you see these things running up. I mean, this is how sad I was. I'm not a 4chan user, but I was scanning 4chan for this kind of stuff the other week, because I was like, whoa. And as Bruce says in chat, as Craig says in chat, there's a very difficult point that we reached. And I was part of a group that saw it and went, because when I saw it, I just looked through and was like, oh, this is cool, this is fine, right? This is a leak. And then as soon as I saw it and actually opened up, say, the Baratheon one on top of the list there, I looked at this and went, hang on, is this actually okay? And what I mean by that is, I am all about freedom of information. You know, we do these news things to point out little things that have gone on and to be free with all this information. But is there something in here that is going to damage the game?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the difficult part.
I've always been so despite being, you know, like a member of these inner circle chats of various degrees, I've never wanted to find leaks. Do you know what I mean? Like Mickey talks to people all the time, talks to people, you know, I'm not saying like he's out there sniffing for leaks or anything like that, but he loves to know information. Whereas for me, I'm very adamant that I don't want to know information until it's final. Yeah. I don't want to see something go through its playtest cycle. I don't want to see 5 different versions of a unit because I might have fallen in love with the 3rd version of the unit. That's my mentality. I might have been like, oh my god, like Lannister, you know, Lannister Halberdiers are going to be so amazing when I see their 3rd card, and then they go through another change and another change. A bit like Warrior Sons are actually one of the perfect examples of, you know, like we know that Warrior Sons went through like huge iterations. They've talked about the fact that their 1.6 iteration was actually them reverting the unit to a previous version that they'd play tested and then gotten rid of because they thought it was too powerful. Then they released them in their actual form in like 1.4 or whatever it was. Then they realized that actually nobody was using them. Knights of Castle Rock were just better. They reverted them to this other playtest file that they were like, well, we thought that was too powerful, but I guess it's not. And people are still like, well, that's not very powerful, but that's a whole side thing. Like if I'd seen that playtest unit and fallen in love with it and been like, God, these Warrior Sons are amazing, and then it came to the final release and they weren't good, I'd be heartbroken, like because I love Lance to Faith armies.
Yep.
And so I've never wanted to know the various iterations that units are going through. I just want them to give me the final product as soon as possible. I want the final one, even if it's not perfect. I mean, I when it's final, I'm happy for you to change it and iterate on it. I don't want to see you go through that process. I don't want to see something and then have it taken away from me.
Yep.
So like I say, I've never been one for sniffing out, trying to find this information, but there are things in amongst here that I think that the community doesn't and shouldn't want to see. Like, I don't think it's positive. I don't think it's positive for people to see and interact with early playtest versions of things. And that's why I've never wanted the stats builder to have playtest files on it. I've never wanted, sometimes when like things go up early and people want me to like create these horrible bastardized versions of 2021 versus 1.6, and I'm like, well, no, because 2021's not made to be played against 1.6, so I'm not going to give you New Varys and New Walder because they're not supposed to be played with those other things.
Yep.
So for me, when it's final, that's when we want to see it. I've never been wanting to see and use these things, but it, like, there are other sides of things, which are that I know some people who are less involved in the game, when they saw some of this stuff, they were like, oh my God, like there's stuff coming for the game. Thank God. Do you know what I mean? Like, just by the names of the units, they don't care about what the stats are. They don't want to play them. They're just like, thank God that Baratheons are getting new units.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And that's the other side of things, which is people who aren't involved, like they look at what Simon have actually released in the last year and they're like, that's a dead game. Are they even making units? And they don't want to play it anymore.
So that's kind of like, I guess, the kind of like, I guess the side of it there is there, I guess, in terms of like, why we don't really want to project it out there too much. But it goes further. It goes further as well because we're not Simon. Simon have not made.
Are we not?
No, we're not. Strangely enough, I know, right? You could have fooled us. This logo here just looks like Simon's, doesn't it?
I heard 1.6 was my fault.
I think it is actually still. But no. So we have got literally, like, there is nothing stopping us from sharing these files today, right? There is nothing stopping me from opening these files and going through them all, right? Poring over them with you over this episode here. Sorry from the fact that it would take far too long for an episode.
I mean, Mickey, we can't even get through like one faction in 2 hours.
I know, right? So never mind literally everything from every faction.
Welcome to our new record, 14-hour Tourney Ground.
I'll just call work now and tell them I'll be off. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because it's not appropriate. But now that leaves us in a difficult situation. Because right now, I'm not the only one. Right? There are other people in chat today who, for want of a better term, have become custodians. Right? We now own or control this information. Do I think that's right? No, not at all. I do not want to be in control of this information. I have no interest in telling people when they should access this or, how they should access this. Right? So what do we do? Right? What do we actually do about this? And the obvious answer is delete it. Right? That's the obvious answer. Yeah, I guess that's something.
Don't download it in the first place, Mickey. Why did you
let
everybody know that it wasn't a virus?
I know.
See, and I was about to say, the one reason why you don't want to tell everybody that you got this, Mickey, is because everyone's going to start DMing you for the info.
access.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Don't DM me, by the way. I don't even have it, so don't ask me.
So
you can go to him.
Yeah. So there is no good way around this. All right, there is simply no good way around this. And everything we do is negative, right? If we share it, people are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't be sharing this stuff. It's not right. If you don't share it, then people are going to be like, why are you hoarding the information? It's just not good. There is literally no win. And to be brutally honest, I haven't decided what we're going to do with it.
Who's this we? It's you, Mickey.
Yeah,
it's your information.
Hey, that's a lie anyway, because you deliberately did ask me if you could have the link or have it.
Mickey
so you do have it,
is the gatekeeper.
I'm not the only gatekeeper. That's the point.
He has the keys to the castle. Yeah, you're right. I do have the link. I have the link. I honestly didn't realize that the link was still live. Is that true?
I'm gonna find out right now.
Oh, don't be showing people the link, Mickey.
It's not on there. Yeah. The link still, from what I understand, works. So yeah, and AJ thought it was a virus. That's exactly it. The link still works. I'm not going to be sharing the link. I'm not going to be sharing the files at this time. I'm not sharing them.
I think the timing is too perfect on it on a Thursday at 5 o'clock EST for it not to have been somebody wanting to share because Simon aren't sharing.
Yep.
Like I believe whoever shared it in the first place believes that the community has a right to see it. I mean, I don't. Like I said, I don't think the community has the right to see playtest files, but I do believe that the community has a right to have more information than we have. And I absolutely have said for the past 6 months that you cannot keep a game in limbo of you're about to get some new information next week, honest, for 6 months. Like that I think that it's somebody, rightly or wrongly, believing that they're helping the community by sharing this because because Simon won't. And I spoke to some people, these things thrown around that like this information was hacked or something like that. Like, what? No, this is somebody who's pissed off. This is a pissed off person who had access to this information. They didn't hack it; they just had it because people have this stuff, including I'm sure people who aren't supposed to have it, and they didn't hack it to get it. So I just think it's disgruntled. It's really representative of the community being very disgruntled with the rate at which they're being given information.
Yeah. There is also obviously the problem. Sharing it is, I'm on the same boat as you. I think someone who disgruntled. I think someone who was disgruntled shared it. I do not think this was shared because it was wanted. I don't even think it was shared because people think it's a good thing to share, right? And as I currently talk, I see people sharing pictures on the main Discord. I see people putting pictures on there and showing people the stuff that they want to show. Do I think this is good? No, I don't think it's good. Do I think it's clever? No, I don't think it's clever. Do I think that this is a symptom of another problem? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will go back to a conversation that me and Carlo were both part of. And I go back to a conversation that we had about 2 to 2.5 months ago, where me and Carlo both said, this was actually talking to our 2 other players in our TSL team, like, we would not be surprised if someone leaks information out, and that person who leaks information out will go public. We thought that 2.5 months ago, didn't we, Carlo? And we spoke about it.
When already 2.5 months ago, when the visions kind of revealed that they were going to be at such a slow trickle pace, I already thought, okay, this is a recipe for somebody who doesn't like this
to do this.
to accelerate the process in whatever method they can.
Yeah. So we still have the conundrum where there's a lot of information here, but it shouldn't be shared, except people are sharing it. And Streisand effect, right? It doesn't matter how much you try and shut it down, unless CMON actively come out and say, guys, this is a public statement, then we've got nothing to go on, right? Literally nothing. Yes.
I mean, I think we just have to move on.
Well, I think I'm going to cover. There is one more thing I'm going to say about this, actually. If anyone can tell me why, conclusively, if this stuff is going to be shared, which it looks like it's now being shared in public forums, it seems to be fairly freely, right? I see.
Don't know where you're looking, Mickey. I can't even find it.
Castle Black main Discord.
Castle Black.
I don't think this stuff should be shared personally. Like, well, it's not about whether it should be shared. I don't know if this is good or not for the bad, or bad for the game for it to be shared. But at this point, if people are going to be sharing it almost at a whim as gatekeepers, if you will, then I refuse to take that role. So I will find a way of posting these online and hosting them online potentially. Because personally,
nothing to do with me. Don't.
Yeah.
Me and Mickey always get banded as the same person.
Yeah, we do.
Like sometimes I go on Discord and it's like I haven't posted on Discord in like I'm talking about the main Discord group. I haven't posted on this main Discord group in 2 months. I'm like just browsing through, seeing what's going on, seeing what's happening, and then it'll just be like Mickey and Carlo, and I'm like, what? I'm not involved in this conversation. Leave me out of it. You know what I mean? Mickey's always on there. And then like now and again, it'll just be like, you and Carlo said, and I'm just like, what? Fuck off. I haven't said anything on Discord for 2 months. So leave me alone.
The funny thing is that CMON haven't cracked down on it. That's the funny thing. Is that they want to know who... I understand that CMON are looking for it. There have been other repercussions as well. We'll talk about those in a second. Yeah, repercussions, right? So it turns out that people get people's actions get burnt. Anyway, the I disagree that gatekeeping, and it's certainly something that I do not want to do. And I think this is partially something that I'm being honest here, and I'm going to actively say that if I get any form of nod or go ahead, and I think there is suggestions in the main English Discord from Simon Swan, he's not bothered if people talk about it at all. He doesn't care. I will probably be not actively sharing this, but there will be ways you can get access to this if you want it. Because the simple fact of the matter is, it's not on us to keep this information quiet. And CMON have had Thursday, they've had Friday, they've had Monday to come out and say something about it, and they haven't. You know, yeah. I agree. I agree, Leica in chat there. It shouldn't be a thing just because you happen to be connected at the right time and suddenly the member of this club. I agree. It is massively unfair and massively divisive. I have no position at all within the community. I'm not special at all. Something that I think people sometimes think content creators are. Content creators are not special. They're not. You can go start it tomorrow. And this information is just happened to be something that I happen to have because I got to it first. And it's not right that I...
Because you're a Discord troll.
I'm a Discord troll. On a Thursday, I'm a Discord troll. Mainly because I want to see other people's reactions to things and sod sitting on the CMON website pressing F5. But no. So yeah. And yeah,
Let's move on.
Well, repercussions time now.
Okay.
To this.
Yeah, I don't even know what these are.
So
other than Simon Swan might have completely quit the game because of it, because he just can't be arsed dealing with the fallout.
We'll deal with the Simon Swan thing first. So as we know, Simon Swan stepped down from being a Facebook admin last month, I want to say, over a month ago, basically because he stopped playing the game. It's got nothing to do with the leak. He's just stopped playing. That's just, fine, whatever, right? He recently, he's basically quit playing. He's quit playing completely. He's not really involved with the game at all at this point. Now, it gets...
So you'd hope this was the kind of crap you didn't have to deal with if you're not at all involved in the game.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the back end of that, right? Is that he's
like, this is the kind of catalyst to make you think, like, why do I have to, like, I'm not paid, I'm not employed, why do I have to deal with this?
yeah. And basically, my understanding is he's still on the Discord. My understanding is though is that he's quit being admin. He's quit being an admin role and he's leaving it in other people's hands. And it sounds like he's washing his hands and walking away from it. Not really. He's just left in an official capacity. He's still there, I believe. I still think he's actually on the Discord, but he's not going to be taking an active role in admin duties. So obviously, I want to just give a shout out to Simon. He's obviously I don't see eye to eye with him all the time. I don't agree with all the things he does. I don't necessarily think I can go into long details, which I'm not going to. But right, just because I don't see eye to him or don't agree with him doesn't mean I don't respect the job he's done, and I believe he's done a good job for the community for a very long time.
Absolutely.
So I wish Simon literally all the best. I know he's going on to other projects as well, interested in other games. So yeah, obviously Simon, he will still be there. He'll still be there in the community, still doing his thing. But yeah, obviously shout out to him because he has done a very good job, certainly when it's come to bloody internet trolls and hacks and things like that. I do appreciate the effort he's put in, and it's a lot of effort. The other kind of fallout, I guess, as a result.
Before you go, Simon. Before you go, mate. Yeah. Sort out my Greyjoy starter. I'm still waiting on that prize, buddy.
Prize of the
One last thing. On your way out, just make sure I get that Greyjoy starter, please.
Yes.
Yeah. I did actually recently message him about it. much to his annoyance, I'm sure.
Yeah. And in relation to what you said there, Charles, it is a little bit out of proportion, but it's not really the leak that's caused him to leave. He was kind of leaving anyway. It's just that the leak came along and, he just thought, yeah, I can't be asked. That's the impression we get. Now, that doesn't mean it's over. Obviously, as I said, he'll still be around, but just not in the same way. But that leads us on to the second repercussion. We've had it on very, very good authority that Simon, obviously, well, what would you do if you were Simon and you found that it was a playtest leak, Carlo?
Probably blame the playtesters. If I'm brutally honest, I'd blame the playtesters.
Yep. And what would be your immediate kind of like reaction? If you're blaming the playtesters, what are you probably going to do?
Well, I mean, I guess stop sharing files. Either that, or you start that's the easy solution. The hard solution is start throwing around your NDAs and start scaring people. But yeah.
Now I
depends how rough and tough you want to be about this. Do you know what I mean? Like, presumably all these people have signed things that they're not going to share these things, and whether or not you'll ever get to the bottom of it is, I don't know. Like I don't actually know if they'll ever get to the bottom of it. If they think that they will, then sure, why not? But I feel like it's a path they've gone down before. We didn't talk about it loads then. Again, it was almost like this hush thing back then. But content creators in the past have been blamed for other previous physical leaks, shall we call it? Leaks. Boxes getting out before production time. People were blamed and kicked out of the community for that. So it wouldn't be surprising if they did it again,
Yep. Definitely. And my understanding is exactly that. My understanding is at this current time that playtesting has essentially, external playtesting has essentially ceased. I don't know how far that goes. I don't know how wide that goes as well. But my understanding is that that has essentially ceased.
It's a tough one because I don't want that to be the solution, but I can't give you a different one. Like, for once, I'm not like, what the hell? For once, I'm not like, what the hell is Simon doing? If you ask me what my reaction would be, is, well, we've got to stop giving the people who had it the files because one of them's done something. Problem is that are you gonna blame them all? Like, and unless you can find real hard evidence of who's at fault, then you either blame all of them or you blame none of them.
Yes. I personally, rather not knee jerk. I don't know if everyone has stopped. I only know that playtesting has stopped. But what I would do is definitely go into it and try and work out what was going on. And more importantly, I wouldn't stop it. I'd say, look, yeah, okay, it's out there. We'll just deal with it. We'll deal with it, the fallout as it as a company, because they can't stop it. We know that they can't stop it. The Streisand effect, the moment that something is on the internet, it literally can't be stopped. And that has nothing to do. All the lawsuits in the world won't stop it happening. So the simple fact of the matter is, Simon have to just take it in their stride and go, okay, it's out there. What do we do? Which again comes back to why haven't Simon said anything? Of course, the best way to keep it quiet is not talk about it. That ain't happening because we're players and we're going to talk about it. I think the thing for us is that just remember that these are playtest files from now essentially 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Nothing you see here is finalized. Nothing you see here could be even remotely like what you see in the final version of these cards. Okay.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I've said this nearly every week, right? Even if these playtest files were from 1 week ago, I would already tell you, I bet you some of them are wrong. Like, they're still changing cards now. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're still changing things. So, like, that's why I'm not interested. I'm interested in broader scale. I did take a look at them for the first time, because I thought that like everybody was going to talk about them, was going to need to be informed. Broader scale ideas, whether or not this unit is cheap or elite, for like new units that don't exist, whether or not it's a ranged unit or a melee unit when I'm not really sure what its name signifies, things like that, what its actual stats are at any given time. Like I've got so little interest in.
Yeah. People are still posting on the main Discord. Certainly Castle Black. People love sharing Night's Watch spoilers. There's a random one for you. Why is it Night's Watch loves sharing spoilers so much? Well, there you
go. Because they're desperate for Night's Watch Hero Box 2.
I know, right?
They're desperate. They're desperate.
Elite Teddy says in chat there as well, you can keep info secure online. Yeah, just like Ryan Giggs didn't bang his sister-in-law. Yeah, that didn't happen. That was kept quiet, wasn't it? In case you're not aware, in the UK, that was a lawsuit where people weren't allowed to talk about it, or talk about what did happen, and it won its court case, and it amounted to about 0 change as to how it was talked about. But yeah, so it's out there. Do it at your own thing. All we can do is obviously talk to you and tell you these are 6 months out of date. They're 6 months out of date. They're unlikely to show anything that is going to be current, anything that's going to be useful, anything that is actually going to mean anything within the game that could be released in a month and a half's time.
Don't playtest it, please. God, don't playtest it.
Don't play it. You're just on for a loser if you start playtesting this stuff, honestly.
You're just wasting your time.
You're doing Simon's playtesting job for them, but 6 months behind.
Yeah, behind the curve.
Which don't do that.
All right, are we moving on, Mickey?
Not quite. No, okay,
not quite.
More thing.
Oh my God! All right, okay, here we go.
Because I should say this because it matters, and when people see this, they should be aware. I think now there is information in here about stuff that's never been released and never even been mentioned about being released. I'm not going to go into specifics. Read the files for yourself when you get hold of them. If you choose to look at them, okay. There is pure and simple information here that is from boxes that haven't even been announced, things that concepts and ideas that we can look at and understand that has literally no concept of it. We had no idea what it was before. Just bear that in mind, because without going into too much detail, you're probably going to spoil the next 6 months of release for yourself, and you're going to ruin any hype that you have for when these things come out.
Yeah, everything's old news.
We saw that.
That's also why being a playtest is crap. Everything's old. You've already seen it.
Yeah.
Nothing's exciting. Nothing's new.
Yeah. So, I think we'll leave it at that. I think we will leave it at that, but I just want to make everyone aware. The information will no doubt come out on the main Discord over the next couple of weeks, I guess, or days, because, yeah, just remember it's completely not final, completely playtest files that were released 6 months ago. Yeah, just take that in mind, and at this point we can only do what we can do, and that's share the news and share the information. We will not be covering any of these stuff, image-wise, content-wise, on future Tourney Grounds or in any other videos we do.
For a start, because I can't be asked to look at all the cards closely enough to care what their stats are.
Yeah,
that's a waste of effort.
Plus, as I was saying to people, I don't give a toss about if something's 3+ or 4+, because by the time it comes up, it could be 10+ or 6+ or 1+. You know, I don't. No, stats are so easily changed. It's concepts, unfortunately, that are the real damaging parts. But the concepts are there. You know, the concepts are there.
I mean, I'm with Weasel. You know, like for a long time, literally a year plus. My opinion has been the unit doesn't exist until it's in my hand. Because even when it's released, even when its rules are final, it's not guaranteed that I can get hold of the unit. You know, like the day it arrives on my doorstep is the day that I believe the unit exists.
Red cloaks don't exist, do they?
No, not in my world.
Yeah. You remember the days where we weren't massively like involved with the community and things, and the days where you were just like made a crappy little stats app, and we did like local games submitted to it, and we were all kind of like, oh, this is cool, and Carlo's the best. Why is Carlo the best? This is clearly just something that Carlo's made up to say he's the best. And then, you know, COVID hit, and we just, well, not COVID, but everything kind of hit, and we thought, fuck it, let's go online. I remember those days where we didn't have to get involved with things like this, or we weren't. Anyway, there it is. There it is.
Don't have to be Mickey. Don't have to tell the news.
Don't have to tell the news, no, but we should.
I'm having fun.
We should tell the news because I'm actually having fun as well. I enjoy this. Sad it is. I enjoy it because actually, for me, it tells guys what's going on. Certainly for the viewers that we get, because not everyone watches live, I know, but there's a lot of viewers out there who watch recorded and like to catch up with all the things that have been done. So
I want all of our live viewers to say hello to Fraser McDonald. He said he was going to come by last week. I'm pretty sure he's still in chat now. He said he was going to come by last week on his birthday. He never did.
I think he did.
But he's here nearly every week, and he knows nothing about Song of Ice and Fire. Can you believe? What a champ.
What a champ.
He's just here. He's just come here to mostly troll me and tell me to constantly come back to WoW. So, you know, you can all tell him that I'm not going back to WoW, but that he's very, very welcome to stay.
Yeah. So, that leaves us on to, I guess, what is the next thing, which isn't news, right? Or is it news? I don't know. What else happened this week? Dragons and Mammoths got released. Right? That was, I know we said it last week, but Dragons and Mammoths have been released in all of Europe now. They're out there. People have been getting them. Dervishes. People have been getting dervishes. People have been realizing that they ordered far too many dervishes and have now got like 3 or 4 boxes of dervishes. And
1 unit of dervishes, absolutely amazing. 2 units of dervishes, no, it's overkill. It's overkill.
4 units of dervishes? What are you doing? So yeah, things are being released. You know, we're getting this kind of like post-lockdown release starting to come out, I guess. The US is still seeing delays. There's been more updates suggesting that a lot of the April releases that were pushed back in the US. Say US, I should say NA. A lot of the NA releases have been pushed back again till May. It looks like late May. But
I can't believe that all those units, that whatever file that had all these names on and all these dates, really aggressive release schedule all throughout April and May. I think, I forget the dates. It was incredibly aggressive. I can't believe it's real, because they can't get a unit that was released in Q4 of 2020 to people. So Surely not.
All right. So the list of stuff that is apparently coming out and the dates. Are we ready, Carlo? This is for the US viewers. We've got War Mammoths, Stormcrow Dervishes, Unsullied Pikes, Mother Dragons, and Stag Knights on the 7th of May.
Yeah, could happen.
Apparently a week later, which I can believe as well, the Greyjoy starter sets, the Iron Makers, the Ironborn Trappers, and Greyjoy Heroes #1. I can believe that.
Could happen. Maybe.
A week later, on the 21st, Mormont She-Bears and Baratheon's King's Men.
No.
I might believe King's Men because we've seen them physically in China, right? A while back, before Christmas, I think.
No.
No. She-Bears, nah, not happening. I don't believe that at all. And on the 28th of May, Hedge Knights, Freed Men, Baratheon Queen's Men, and R'hllor Lightbringers.
No. They're not coming out till 2022.
I mean...
No. Nah.
Surely not. Those last 4 are surely pipe
too
dreams.
much.
Surely pipe dream.
Maybe they'll massively outperform my expectations, but all previous track record says this isn't going to happen.
Yep.
You know, like all I'm saying is like, please guys, don't get hyped about it. Don't put your hopes and dreams on it. Don't live and die by the sword that, like, if they come out on this date, then the game's saved, and if they're not, then I'm throwing the game away. You know, like, that's what leads to us losing players. Overhyping things and then not achieving is what causes people to leave the game. So I'm just saying, guys, you're not getting She-Bears. You're not getting Queen's Men. Let's be reasonable. Let's be really, really happy if Greyjoys actually come out in May.
Yeah. I should probably cover the other bit of news as well, randomly. Organised play has seen more... Well, no, this is a lie. Organised play has seen literally no more motion, right? Organised play is no closer to being, like, actually here than it was a year ago, as far as we're concerned, from a public perspective. But, Carlo, have you had some success, if you will, for a certain tournament that may or may not be happening later in the year?
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to say. Like, the organized play still seems to be very up in the air. Like, you know, like sometimes some people are saying that they're getting responses. Some people are saying they're not. You know, we've sent emails. Sometimes we get a response. Sometimes we don't. Then suddenly on Facebook, we get responses. I feel like they're doing better. They're doing better, but better than none. So hopefully it's going in a certain direction. But like, there's still this huge question, and like, I'm going to be really, really unhappy up until the point where it's answered, which is, what is organized play? Like, simple as, like, there's loads of parts to it. What makes you a ranked tournament? What makes you whatever? Blah 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 blah. What is it? You've been talking about it since 2009. So, you know, like, it really is. I'm not really sure what's going on with it.
No, that's the truth, isn't it? It's kind of a bit weird. We'll see how it pans out. We'll see how it all kind of comes out. But it does take us nicely onto the GT, which is obviously the big tournament that we do care about. So the GT, it is still happening, and it's kind
not to bring us back to it, but Bob says they're actually entering data into the organized play stuff now. As soon as you say it, how do you know, Bob? Like,
seen it?
I mean, I've asked them about it loads of times. They're not talking to us about it. Are they talking to you about it? because we've asked loads of times. I know lots of other people in the US have asked about it loads of times. You know, and I'm not talking about Song of Ice and Fire stats here. I'm talking about the people organizing the GT, organizing what is, you know, we'll come on to it, but the biggest tournament that's ever been run in the UK, and they won't tell us anything about it. So,
yeah, let us honestly let us know if you know more than we do. Let us know.
Yeah,
because
if you know, then tell us. You know,
we want to run tournaments using the system if it system exists. We can't run a tournament running the system if So right, we won't go into normal tournaments and not normal, because that's a whole epic debate there that we will not cover. But yes. Okay. So, tournament news. Obviously, the GT is still up and about. That is kind of like where we were going to. There's a load of other tournaments that have been happening, and there has been other news. Let's go over to the GT quickly. That's a sad number. 0 out of 100. Oh. But I know that's not a right number. 44 players signed up for the GT so far, and that's in the first month and a little bit. Essentially from announcement. So 44 players at the end of March, which means 44 players that are going to be going up for the Greyjoy starter box giveaway that Simon have provided, apparently. So when that gets released, or when the draw, when it gets released, or when we get it, the draw will happen, and one of the 44 players will be getting a nice starter box. And we're glad to know Carlo didn't buy a ticket because he's an organizer, so he doesn't need to buy one. So he won't be in the running to get it, which is great news for everybody involved and everybody here, because we hate Carlo winning.
And I win everything. So, you know.
So
yeah, it's done really, really well. We were hoping more around. So I was hoping that the tournament would reach 64. I think that 64 would be great format, relatively complete 64 bracket. Fits in well over a weekend tournament. Absolute shoot for the moon is that it, you know, breaks the 64 barrier and like exists somewhere up to a 128 bracket tournament. You know, like obviously that being the next break point for how many rounds you need to have, and like for organizational purposes, really, you're talking about 32 man events, 64 man events, and 128 man events. I didn't think that it would break 64. Now we've seen 44 in the first month. Still, people are hesitant around the 2021 release. Still, people are hesitant around COVID travel. I'm still optimistic that those two things, if the UK can stay on its vaccination plan, can stay on its like roadmap to us opening events, it's way back in September. Absolutely have all confidence that the tournament will run, but I think there needs to be quite a few months of people getting back to normal travel for people to be confident enough, particularly people from further afield, maybe in the EU, to want to come over. But also 2021 release will hopefully give people the confidence that 2021 balance will be out by then. You know, like every month that goes by is this tiny little thing like, oh my God, 2021 balance might not be out by September 2021. So, you know, I was super happy at 44, you know, to hear it that after 1 month. And I think that puts us in a stage to beat the 64 number bracket. And then we're talking about 100, 128, stuff like that. Really, really big event, you know. Once you break 100, we can start talking about being the biggest event that there's ever been. But realistically, if it's a 64-player event, it's achieved everything it wanted to achieve, and is a great point for us coming back to A Song of Ice and Fire on the table in a real way. And, you know, maybe not Masters of Westeros big, but big enough for us to be really happy that the UK scene is going to grow and thrive again.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is an element there that is suggesting that we can kind of get the UK scene back on track, and there has been some appearance of some new not new. They're not actually new communities, but communities kind of like coming back out of the woodwork. There's a group in Swindon. Now I forget the name, and it's gonna bug me a lot. But a group in Swindon, who have been kind of like on and off. They just play war games. They have a YouTube channel as well, which is great. If I can remember the name, I will make sure to post it or look it up so you can show you. But they've been posting some Song of Ice and Fire content recently. I think it might be Ross. I think it's Ross Drogon by the name. I think might be. He might be based in the UK. He plays with them, or he requested some games that they play. And yeah, they're pretty big, and it looks like the community in Swindon is pretty strong as well. There are communities in Essex, related to or not related to Grant, down that end, which are looking to get into the game and have been playing games. There's plenty of comments and things from UK players who are interested in the game. So yeah, I'm actually a bit more positive than I was, I think, about a month ago, 2 months ago, and I think the GT has done quite a lot to bring those people out into the woodwork and say, look, guys, game's still playable. Firestorm Games, thank you.
I thought it was Firestorm, but then I thought maybe there's a place in Cardiff, isn't there? I thought Cardiff was called Firestorm Games. I forget. Well, then I don't know what the Cardiff place is called, because there's also a community
Miniatures. There you go. SW Miniatures on YouTube. Check them out. Actually, it's 15. Normally have about 15 people. Are small tournaments. See, what 15?
That's a really good, strong community.
Yeah, I mean,
there's also there's some people coming all the way from Scotland. Sterling-ish ways from Common Ground Games is where they normally play. But they've been doing for a while, for a good year nearly or so, the Always Winter podcast.
Yes.
They've actually just started again last week. So they just came back, announced that roughly once a month, the Always Winter Song of Ice and Fire podcast, where they mostly talk about painting, gaming, like as a general thing, as opposed to like strategy or anything like that. They just talk about their games, their lists, their feelings around the game, and I really like listening to their content. So Always Winter are back, and hopefully the Scottish will come down on force, because they've got some quality players. I played against a couple of them, and definitely want to see them go head to head with some of the people who've been playing on TTS more recently, who I know are also quality players.
Yeah, and also I noticed there in chat Paint and Play Minis, who I've seen comment on a couple of the videos now as well. I believe he's one of the guys in the UK. Again, I might be wrong. But yeah, it's great to see. This is just us being all selfish, to be honest. But it's great to see players from the UK coming out of the woodwork and getting all keen and happy for it. So I'm happy. Carlo's happy. We're all happy. So yeah, no, spot on. So the other thing,
hopefully the GT will be really good for a Song of Ice and Fire in the UK in general, because the GT is a much bigger event. It'll actually be even COVID safe, etc. It will be a 1,000 person event. So to expose a Song of Ice and Fire to 40k players, etc., people who might have seen it played a little bit but not know that it's actually got an active competitive community who are coming together. If we can put together a good tournament, that looks like everybody's having a great time, show how fast paced the game is, how many rounds that we can get in the tournament, and just sell it to 1,000 other players, it's actually much bigger exposure than just having a tournament where only a Song of Ice and Fire players turn up. Doesn't massively help grow a Song of Ice and Fire, but have it represented at a much bigger convention or event like this, tournament-based event, can really help show other players who, like ourselves, who are maybe completely done with 40k at this point and are looking for a different game to play. It could be really big. It could help.
Definitely.
So I hope.
Also, I want to give Hobbit. We just normally have 15 people at small local tournaments. Just your comment there. 15 people is a good size of an event. Actually, don't think yourself as a small tournament. Think yourself within a Song of Ice and Fire land. From what we understand, that's actually a healthy, not large, but like a normal sized tournament that you should be fairly happy with. And hey, maybe get yourself on those CMON lists as getting prize support, because you're big enough to. Other tournaments of that size in other countries are big enough to get prize support at those numbers. So why not you? Which would be amazing for local tournament scenes. So, the next thing.
iRobot's just asking Mickey in the chat. Can you see? He's asking if the Discord is an invite only now. I assume he's talking about the main Discord. I assume not. I assume somebody's just giving you a link that times out.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's a timed out link.
To answer your question, I believe if you're talking about the NRG server, then nope, it's not invite only, and I don't believe the main Discord server is either. So I think your answer to that is no and no. It's not invite only. I don't think they've cracked down any sudden security rules because of the leaks or anything like that. I don't think that's caused that.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll get onto that. We'll definitely get onto that. And if you want the link to the NRG server, we can drop it in at the end of the chat. In fact, why don't I quickly link it now? So this is for anyone who's not sure. I'll drop this into chat now. This is for the NRG server. Pachow. If anyone's not on there, that will work fine. That might time out in 7 days because I'm an idiot. So I can probably make it never expire. Oh, no, I won't bother. That one will last its time. Anyway, rightio. So actual tournament news. We've had some tournaments running, right? We talked about the finals ending last week. We've got the Faction Masters running, and we talked about Bash event ending last week as well. There's also the guys over in Rotterdam White Scars running their 2 events. Yep. Let's have a little look at some of those. Let's just work up from the bottom, I guess. So, where are we? Not going to talk about the Spanish events. We aren't going to talk about in great detail at the moment, guys. Not because they aren't worth talking about, but we don't have much to go on aside from results that get posted. Lists aren't on the thing, and a lot of players aren't necessarily posting the results when they come in or when they've been checked. So it's really hard to follow it along. What I would recommend you do is follow the Spanish community on Facebook, where they do post a lot of stuff. So yeah, big shout out to them. Obviously, continuing to do great work and running massive online tournaments, massive physical tournaments in multiple different locations, running massive events. All right then. So, I guess what am I looking at?
What are you looking at?
White Harbour finished, didn't it?
Probably starting with the Faction Masters, right?
I guess the Faction Masters makes the only ones. I'll just check the Battle of White Harbour. Because I know it went.
I think so. I think Battle of White Harbour is the Rotterdam White Scars.
It is local,
physical, local, beginner-friendly event for their local club.
And it's taken a bit of a hit, I believe, because they've just had over the last couple of weeks basically rules saying that they can't go back outside again, which sucks. Sucks ass. So it's taken a bit of a hit. I do believe they're still playing.
Keeps taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back, doesn't it?
Indeed. I still think they're playing. Where we're at. I get the impression they're still playing. They have been streaming a lot, and shout out to their streams. You know, they've been getting some streams up, posting them up. So go check them out. They're lovely guys. You know, but yeah, I think the games are going to stay or keep on coming, I should say. The Faction Masters then. So let's have a look at the Night's Watch. We saw 4 players get knocked out in round 1. We saw Winter's Coming, Griffin, Ariakas, and Mongoose retiring from round 1.
Some big names.
Big names, indeed. But we see, let's have a look at who gets through. Mahoney's Law, or Mahoney's Law, depending on which part of the community you come from and how you pronounce it. Afternoon Sunday. And Chris, I hope you're not listening to this while you're on the road, because you've been on the road a lot. You better not be driving. Don't listen to Tourney Ground and drive. Almost as bad as don't drink and drive, but not quite.
Yeah, we're way too extreme.
Mahoney's Law. So yeah, he made it through. Claw, obviously, Night's Watch in the World Cup
World
finals.
Cup.
Jesus, I had to think about that.
Yep.
Scadman, who I absolutely love as a guy who posts some things, and he didn't do too. I think he did like mid-table in the regionals, but it's good to see him getting through in the finals through to his next round. So shout out to who did he beat actually? He beat Griffin as well. That's like that's a decent scalp. So
Yep.
to shout out to Scadman for that because that's a shout. And then obviously Jon Snow.
Ahead, I think we have Mahoney versus Scadman and Claw versus Jon Snow Groupie as our semi-final matchups.
It would be good if someone here had a thing to show, wouldn't it? Oh, a second.
Prepared as always.
Prepared. This is the only thing I didn't check. I didn't actually check the size of these. I changed these today. There we go. So this is. I'll go through and find the one we want in a second. But let's. Whoops. Maybe hide that one a second. Where are we? This is the one I want. There we go. And let's go up here.
Flawless.
Absolutely flawless. You talk about it anyway, quickly.
Claw versus Jon Snow Groupie, Scadman versus Mahoney's Law. I mean, you know, there's some big names in there. Some whether or not you have a favorite. Personally, I'm rooting for Mahoney. So I'd love to see him take on another couple of wins and win the event. But I'm really interested to see. I mean, both who, but what wins the Night's Watch event? Because I just think that Night's Watch had one of the biggest subtle kind of you know, saying two sides of the same coin there, but like it was a major but at the same time kind of underplayed change during quarter four. I think that the watch Marshall is such a key piece to them right now and such a high skill level to play. And I think that their lists are the ones that are most in flux and most variable based on trying to play into the matchup for the mirror as well. So I'm super interested because, like I said, I was really tempted to enter the Night's Watch Masters just because I thought it would be the most interesting games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was tempted. I actually said that if Free Folk wasn't going ahead, Targ was my one I wanted to go to, because I like Targ. It's as simple as that. I don't play them enough, but I do like them. My next one, because knowing the Baratheons was going to be quite popular, as we see in a second, we'll go through that. There we go. So the thing I actually wanted to go and do was play Night's Watch if Targ wasn't an option as well, because I do think Night's Watch is the most interesting. I agree. I also think Targ is really interesting, but it's interesting because people make it interesting, not because it's actually interesting in itself.
Yeah, there's been a lot of self-limiting in the Target area, and I think.
Yes. So we'll talk about Baratheon next because it's next on the list. The Baratheons, we saw Spleen, Crag, Vicky, and Death take it through to round 2, and Stannis, Bolton, Ardeep, and Mr. Ray losing out in round 1.
Big.
Yeah, I mean, Stannis 1000th, he lost to Death. In case people don't know, I wasn't surprised. Death is surprisingly good, even though his rating is currently very poor. Death is a very good player. He doesn't play nearly as much as some of the other Australians do, e.g. Deoxys, and he typically only loses to e.g. Deoxys. And also he plays a right mix of factions, usually lower end stuff, hence the reason he doesn't win a lot. So his rating is a lot lower, but Death is a very, very good player. And as you can see there, it was a close game, but he did make Stannis look bad, and he did it with Stannis Rifle there. So shout out to him.
Yep.
So yeah, Death makes it through. Vicky, I believe she played her Renly list against Bolton's Renly list. So shout out there, obviously, to the two of them. Bolton's Baratheon's not his main faction, but alas, neutrals weren't going to make it through. And he likes playing Baratheon. I have it on good authority, e.g., the man himself. He actually enjoys playing them. So yeah, that's great. Crag and Spleen. Crag actually super under the radar player because he doesn't play in that many tournaments. But Crag is a very, very good Baratheon player, and he again made Ardeep.
Beat Ardeep Math, who went completely unbeaten in the NA regional. So
yep,
that's a big play.
Yep, and Spleen, of course, beat Mr. Ray. Spleen, in case people aren't aware, Spleen won the TSL basically. Using Baratheons. Well, I say he won. He was the highest ranked player at the end. He unbeaten on Baratheons. Carlo was obviously unbeaten on Night's Watch. I have to mention that, otherwise he won't let me live it down.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no. Obviously great for all those guys. And as we can see from our brackets, we have got Death versus Spleen, and we've got Vicky versus Crag. So we'll see how that goes out. Next up, we have got I think it's Targ next on the list, isn't it? Or is Targ last? Oh, Lannisters is next.
Ooh, nobody good plays Lannisters.
Carlo. Do we tell them the bad news, Carlo?
Yep, go on then. Let them know.
He actually made it through, which is really annoying. Carlo made it through. And we saw Bloodraven, Wop, Leet Teddy, and Gamma all retire in round 1.
Yeah.
You didn't record your game, did you, Carlo? Which is a little bit of a shame.
I was still doing the analysis from the game before, so game didn't get recorded.
Game wasn't recorded. Game won't be going up as a battle report, which I know other people have been saying the battle reports are well received. So check out Carlo's battle reports. People actually like them, which is weird because people tend not to like content that we make. That's a lie. People love our content. Just only a very small proportion, which is you guys who come and watch us. You beat Gamma, didn't you? And do you want to tell the story like you told me?
What's get said in private, Mickey? No, I actually can't remember what I said to you.
Shall I recap it quickly?
It was pretty much Tyrion doing Tyrion things. My lists are they're effectively like a theoretical exercise. I'll be honest. I've never played them until now. I was a tiny bit rusty with Tyrion because I haven't played Tyrion in such a long time. So I was a bit lucky that, I managed to get through the first round. Hopefully I'll be better this round coming. It's a theoretical exercise, which is that I think the only thing that holds Lannisters back from being top tier is their activation count. So I just said, well, Tyrion's an absolute menace. So's High Sparrow. How high can I push both of their activation counts? And I ended up with a 9 activation High Sparrow and an 8 activation Tyrion. And I believe that's going to do me really well. Looking at everybody else's lists, I'm really surprised at the number of people who've gone for 7 activation lists. And I feel that I will be the favorite going into most games, in my opinion. Obviously, slightly game mode dependent. There is a decent variety of commanders out there. So there's some Gregors, there's quite a few Joffreys, stuff like that. It's mostly Tyrion, but it's built from a mentality, from my mind, that I think that I have a massive advantage if I play 8 activation Tyrion against your 7 activation Tyrion, because it just gives me a whole nother step control over the activation flow of the game, forcing tempo plays, creating tempo plays. So hopefully I will do at least one analysis video where I talk about those lists, what I built, why. But really, I think that for me, the Lannister, we'll see how far I go. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to start saying all these things and then just get knocked out next round in the semifinals. But for me, particularly into the Lannister mirror matchup, there's nothing better than a poor fellow.
Yep.
There's nothing better. They're so good, and they're going to be so good in 2021 balance as well if they stay at the 4 points that they are. So, It's we'll see. We'll see how far I go. But I think that when I saw the lists, I thought I've probably picked the best pairing here of everybody. I have the best lists based on what I'll have to play against. So if I lose, it's nobody to blame but myself.
Yep. Yeah. Fair enough. I think the way that Carlo described the game, I was going to talk about this. The way that Carlo described the game is that he said he felt like he was going to lose the game because Gamma charged him, and he basically thought everything was going to kind of implode because it was a really good opening from Gamma. And then Poor Fellow's just survived and then did Poor Fellow things while Tyrion made Stormcrow Dervishes with Preston Grenfield kill Gamma's entire army, basically.
Yeah, literally his whole army in one turn. So on turn 2, he charged me. He was first. He charged me. I used the late activations of turn 2 to get my dervishes into a strong position, and also I have 2 cunning ploys and an adaptive tactics. Round 3, I'm going first. I take letters that allows me to delay his actions, and then I just triple. So I charge the rear of some Knights of Castle Rock. They die. That lets me draw a card for the charge, draw a card for the Surge Forth. I then play Cunning Ploy, play the same unit again. I charge the flank of another unit. I kill it. I take a unit. I move on. I charge the flank of another unit because I'm just Cunning Ploying continuously. Adaptive methods. I draw 6 tactics cards. I wipe out 3 units, and it's just game over. It's obscene the things that Tyrion can currently do, particularly when combined with Preston Grenfield.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll be brutally honest.
Guys, I didn't come into this to be to get knocked out.
I'll be brutally honest. I have no intention of ever seeing that hit the table and playing against you using that on the table because it just sounds unpleasant. Like, I might even be able to beat it, but it sounds unpleasant. And I've seen Starks use it, and it's unpleasant in Starks. It's actively not nice.
This. I mean, it's kind of tiny. I don't think we're going to end up talking about this. Is a tiny little bit to do with the thing that ended up getting discussed this week. But this is the first time that I've entered a tournament in almost a year, actually, where my absolute intent is to break the game and win the tournament. This is the first tournament of all, for the past year, I've been playing off meta lists, been playing things that are subtly good. I'm not saying I'm playing weak armies or weak stuff. I often play lower rated commanders and try and make good lists with them. In this, to me, the premise was sold who's the best? Who knows how to make Lannisters? Absolutely amazing. And I was like, well, okay, if that's the challenge you're putting in front of me, this is my answer. And my answer is I'm going to use these obscene combos that are just nasty, nasty, nasty things to play against. And that's how I'm going to build and approach the game. That's a thing that I haven't done for about a year. And this is the answer that I've come up with. We'll see how far it takes me.
Yeah, I agree. You want to break it. The problem, if you will, which will link into what we're going to see next. You're up against Rossi in the next round. And Furioku's already played his second round. He played it straight away yesterday, and he beat Macarius Vex to go into the final. Furioku, the famous Lannister player. Anyway, that links into, for me, the next portal, Targaryens. Now, Targaryens I'm obviously competing in, and Targaryens, it's a little bit different. Because
absolutely
breaking the meta, to be honest, isn't a thing. And when I say isn't a thing, I genuinely don't believe that there is another better build that can take on Mother of Dragons than Mother of Dragons.
Your only choices are amongst your NCU picks, basically, and what specific combo events you use. What unit are you going to put Dany in? That's not that's
not a list build.
Such a subtle variance that I don't think it's not worth trying to compete over.
So the difference is, for me, is that the concept of the list is the same. It's who refines that last little concept the best. And that's very similar to why we don't see very many Stark, why people didn't want to do the Stark mirrors. It's probably why people didn't want to do the Free Folk mirrors, although I actually think Free Folk mirrors is very different compared to facing other things, because there's certain tech you can bring. But people didn't want to do that partially because I've seen it a lot, but partially because they don't see the refinement in the lists in the same way. Whereas here, you can't refine Mother of Dragons to be different. It's the same thing.
Yep.
It's just what flavor. I played my Vargo list into Zero Talk's Sell Me list, and my list.
So you already know you're trolling. Like
Yeah.
as soon as somebody says Vargo, you know there's a troll on the horizon.
I straight up took my Vargo list into Mother of Dragons, and into Sell Me, and his Sell Me list had Drogon in it, and I did exactly the thing that I wanted to do, and I killed Drogon in one go. And if he had Mother of Dragons, it wouldn't have been able to stop anything. Drogon would have been dead regardless if he was running Mother of Dragons or if he was running the list he was running. And that's why I built the list. It's all about the Bloody Mama Zorse Riders doing what Bloody Mama Zorse Riders do. Yeah. I kind of got lucky a little bit because it requires setup, it requires card draw, it requires your opponents are going to play into it a little bit. But I set it up and it worked. I look forward to using it again. If I play, well, I am playing, unfortunately, Tobo Mott in the next round, who's running his double Mother of Dragons that we saw in the finals. I'm not going to complain.
Absolutely, 100% will be. There's no gentleman's agreement there about which I hate. I have to say, I hate. Do you know what I mean? Like, not that people could want to have a gentleman's agreement. I hate the concept that there should be a gentleman's agreement, that we both have to agree to something to make the game enjoyable, right? Like, the game should be balanced well enough such that I can bring whatever I want and feel competitive and feel like I'm enjoying the game.
Yep.
But MOD's really not that for the rest of Targaryens. Like, if ever there were a faction where this disparity is big, it's Mother of Dragons. Interesting that Grislog says that he was excited to play Mother of Dragons and he was disappointed that it wasn't an all MOD tournament. You know, like that, and that's the other thing. Like, the expectations of people that, you know, I'm sure, I mean, I want the Lannister tournament. You know, it was sold to me as this concept that it was going to be a hyper competitive tournament. And I thought, right, I haven't played a hyper competitive tournament for a year. I want it to be hyper competitive. I hope everybody else is bringing their A game. And there was a tiny bit of chat about people trolling and bringing neutral commanders. Shall we all play neutral commanders? And I was just like, God, please no. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm only entering this tournament because you told me it was hyper competitive. Like, I want to play a hyper competitive tournament. I want to play the game hyper competitively. I do want to. I just want there to be reasons for it to not be the same every time, because we have, roughly speaking, we have an answer to what is the correct thing to use in the hyper competitive environment, unless you change the environment. And this is what these tournaments do. They change the environment to say, actually, there are restrictions on what you can use and what the game will be. And that's that you're all one faction. And that brings us back into this idea that hyper competitiveness can be fun again, because we can hyper competitively try and one up each other and see who can come up with the best answer. But I can see why that's not interesting in Targaryens to a lot of people, a lot of the entrants, because there's nothing to one up each other there. You're all just going to pick the same thing, and there is only one answer. So I think, it is what it is. I can see why people have erred away from Mother of Dragons, and I can also see why people are disappointed that it's not going to be all Mother of Dragons, because it puts a tiny little asterisk on, like, are you really the best Targaryen player if you're not all playing hyper competitively?
Yeah, I agree. So it's definitely. I mean, I would have liked it to be a Mother of Dragons mirror, potentially, myself personally. Personally, just because I like to see the mirror. I think understanding how to, like, control tempo and play the mirror is in itself an important thing. But I'm kind of glad it's not as well. Just because
I do think that the mirror is not yet solved.
No, it's not.
Like, you know, like that there's a lot to be learned from that mirror. It's barely been played at all, like, at least in terms of, like, you know, footage wise, like results on stats, battle reports, as a mirror matchup, considering that it just won the World Cup. Like if Starks won the World Cup, everybody would be like, yeah, sure. And everybody knows tons about the Stark mirror. They understand what works and what doesn't. But I do think that there's some real subtleties to the MOD mirror, such as like a dragon can't one-shot another dragon, right? That's actually, as far as the dice go, impossible. It requires 2 attacks and the counterplay involved in that and that kind of stuff. So I'm a little bit sad that we didn't see a hyper competitive Targaryen tournament. But I can see why it gets samey, right? Like if every game in that tournament is MOD versus MOD, that is a bit that's a bit samey. If nobody thinks that they can build a counter MOD list that isn't MOD, then I guess there's a real problem.
Yeah. Okay then. Okay. So
Charles Cassier, like, all right. He says, in a way, saying that this is over competitive is a kind of gentleman's agreement. I'd really love for you to tell me what you mean by that. Yeah. I'm interested in what you mean by that. I think maybe you're saying that putting no restrictions and playing as competitively as possible is agreement that players make together. But for me, that's just the upper limit of the game for me. Yeah. So I'd be interested.
I agree. So moving on from that, I think that puts just to finish that off, I think that puts me up against Tobo Mott in the next round, and it puts Carl Dogo up against Dark Angel 88, as his full name goes. I think we'll leave that here. I think there's no more tournaments to discuss. I don't think. No, there are no more tournaments to discuss that we've got. Oh no, Ring the Bells. Ring the Bells, which is the other Rotterdam Right Scars one, which has currently got 8 players. They've played an international event, and we saw Zero Talk again entering ELO.
An ELO tournament.
With Greyjoys. I actually think that if you're going to try Greyjoys in a tournament, an ELO tournament is the way to do it. You're going to do it at all, unless it's a Greyjoy mirror, which is different. Because it evens the playing field. It doesn't matter if you lose. It's not as big a deal if you lose with them. And it makes the whole environment better. It allows you to test them without this negative fear of dropping like an absolute fly with your rating. So yeah, there's not much to say about that. It's just interesting. Have a look at the stats. See, quite a lot of Baratheon. People love Baratheon. People love Greyjoy because it's new, and then none of the big boys really.
Yeah, Baratheons are very popular right now also in ELO events because their rating is very deflated by the release of MOD. So particularly if you think that MOD is not going to be there, they're probably underrated. Like they're stronger than they look because the competitive factions are absolutely kicking their ass right now. But they can do really, really well. Like, Audit Math showed that like one tiny mistake by your opponent, and Baratheons are right in there. They really, really punch hard. So,
Yeah, definitely. All right then. All right. So
I just want to pick up on like those responses. So he says, yeah, as far as I can tell, you're basically saying that you think it's a gentleman's agreement to bring the most powerful list you can to a tournament, but maybe it's just a mentality thing, but my assumption is that when a person turns up to a tournament, a tournament, I'm not talking about any old given game. They turn up to a tournament, they are bringing the thing that they think they are best with. They don't have to bring the thing they think's best in the game, but I think they're bringing the thing that they think that they're best with. That's my assumption, and I guess other people play differently. But my assumption always is that just being in a tournament means that we're playing to win. We don't have to be arseholes about it. but we're playing the things we think are going to win, and then trying to enjoy the game. So I guess maybe we just think about it differently. And it's a non-gentleman play would be to bring an over-competitive build to a casual Friday night game, run on a beginner. Well, yeah, absolutely. I'd never bring. There are two problems there, which are, one, I would never bring a hyper-competitive list to play against a beginner, and B, I would never even try and play properly against a beginner, because I'm sorry, but I would steamroll you no matter what list I played. If I played as absolutely well as I can, there is no list I can't beat a complete beginner with, no matter how well I explain the game. Yeah. Yeah, and you're talking about what people expect in advance from an event, and is the gentleman's agreement. Okay, maybe it's mentality difference, but to me, if you say the word tournament, then you're saying we're bringing top tier lists.
Yeah.
If you want the Swiss draw is a beautiful thing, not just because this is why all physical tournaments of every game in everything uses Swiss draw, because if I've come to win and somebody else has come to just participate, then they'll quickly get paired up against other people who've just come to participate, and I'll get paired up against other people who've come to win. And that's what Swiss draw does, and that's why it's much, much better than a bracketed system. A bracketed system is good when we all know that we're playing only to win. And particularly if you're playing a knockout bracket, I can only possibly believe that everybody's here to win. As soon as, if you tell me it's a knockout bracket tournament, this is play to keeps. If it's Swiss draw, there's maybe a tiny little element of, all right, we're just here to have some games.
Yeah.
But the beauty of Swiss draw is if I've come to play and win, then I'll quickly get catapulted up the table and play against other people who have come to win. And if I've just come to participate, then I get pushed down the table and I'll play against other players who've come to participate. So I don't think there needs to be a gentleman's agreement in a tournament unless players are particularly limiting themselves. For me, the assumption is people are coming to win.
Yeah, definitely. All right then. So you've had your bit. I think that is the last tournament there. We've got Gamers Haven tournament coming up this weekend So if you're based in the US, sorry, I'm a bit distracted. Go and check that out. That's over with the guys in Ohio, Palmer Heights. I forget what they're called now. It's Gamers Haven, isn't it? It's the
Gamers Haven.
Who's the guys?
Family Time Game.
No, it's different. Gamers Havens is not Family Times Games, is it? It's Bob,
no.
Field Commander Bob, and Dakota and people like that will no doubt be down there using 1.6 rules and units, but with 1.7 game modes. And there you go. Walder and Varys only allowed in neutrals. Interesting. Makes the game a little bit more fun, I think. People are going to see more fun stuff. Might unlock some really not healthy stuff as well, but it just mixes up a little bit. People can add their own rules in. There's not a problem. BrizCon still happening over in Australia, run by Michael Kerr. I don't know if he's got any players signed up outside the event, so we'll see if that gets populated. That's this coming weekend as well. Wallo Morgulis, unfortunately, the event in France was going to be a large event run by the French community. I believe this has now fallen by the wayside with the changes that they've had. And that leaves us the only other thing that we know about, the only other tournament currently scheduled in, is the GT. There are some other tournaments in the UK that have propped up, Rimble, Rumble and places like that, which we'll try and get some information for when we can. But yeah, we'll leave it there. So, Carlo, it's been an interesting week. There's lots of things to talk about. And I know I've been distracted, and I know that people have lots of things to talk about that continue. Is there anything else that we want to discuss before we leave today, or are we happy there?
No, yeah. I'm not sure if you're alluding to things that I like gave the tiniest little sprinkling of, but I mean, like, come on, we've been here for an hour and a half, Mickey. Like, that'll be another half-hour rant if I get off on that one. And we've already lost a third of our viewers. You know what I mean? Like, we can't let people miss a classic Carlo rant. So we'll not be selective and elitist about who we give that rant to by only letting our current viewers see it.
I know, right? No. It's definitely. I just like to post this because I think it's great because it definitely encapsulates me being completely clueless. Weasel and Carlo, who know what they're talking about and are actually pretty good, and Bruce, who definitely is there on the outlines. All the big patrons there getting a bit of a shout out on a Monday night. Why not? But there are others out there. You will be included in future memes should any discussions break out with your name included in them.
I'm definitely the tall one. What's going on here?
You're not. You're definitely not. Anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. We may not be sharing said files on the NRG Discord now that they seem to be shared on the main Discord anyway.
What's this we?
I will.
You.
All right, I will. They are being shared on the main Discord anyway.
Me.
You know, they are going to be there, so we will discuss that. We will discuss that, and we'll come to a conclusion. But yeah, from that, guys, we'll just leave it here this week. I wish you all the best this week. I really hope there's a Visions on Thursday or Simon do something. Because it's getting desperate out here.
All 2021 balance in the War Council app, yeah? Who believes? I believe.
I'll just... What? No. Anyway, guys, we can only be positive. We just hope there's a Visions on Thursday. We hope that Simon reach out and talk to people and actually announce something. I don't know what they can do at this point. But with that, guys, take it easy. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday.
Bye-bye.